G'day everyone. In November 2018, the Queensland branch of the AEVA held the EV Expo at the Brisbane Convention Centre. This displayed a wide range of electric vehicles and had a bunch of presentations from experts in the industry. And this video is just a couple of those experts and what they had to say. If you're interested in coming to the Queensland branch monthly meeting, it's on the third Wednesday of each month at 7:30 at the Albion Peace Centre. I hope you enjoy the video and I'll see you on the next one.
Okay, so my next speaker, Nick Lake, will be speaking about Energy Lab. So I'll hand it over to him, and if we could give him a huge round of applause, make sure that it's bigger than next door. Thank you.
Thanks guys, definitely got the best room in the house here. So I'm a conversion guy too. I've actually did an EV West Beetle kit and drove it up here today from Byron Bay, but just a bit of a change of topic for me. My main focus is Energy Lab, and we're Australia's only focused clean tech accelerator. So we work with entrepreneurs to help them develop their ideas and commercialise them into thriving businesses. We're currently located in Melbourne, Sydney, Canberra and Brisbane. And we've got some satellite offices in Cambodia, India, working with a group in Johannesburg. But our main focus is discovering talent, encouraging young engineers, young entrepreneurs to take their idea further, to bring it to reality. And the reason for that is, we have a vision of a clean energy future, and we need thousands of thriving, successful businesses to make that shift. So that was the reason for setting up Energy Lab. Here in Brisbane, we're housed in the Clean Energy Finance Corporation's offices. They generously donated some space to us there. We've got 4 startups going through our program. Nationally, we have 28 companies going through our main program, which is our accelerator program, and a number of EV-focused businesses within that mix. So I'll talk about some of the EV businesses as we go through, but a little more background on Energy Lab just to give you an idea of who we are. So these are some of the areas that we focus on. So there's solar and generation style businesses, some storage plays, but we're also looking at smart homes. There's a couple of data analytics type businesses. A lot of the companies we have in our cohort are then also working with the likes of Solar Analytics and Watt Watchers and others who have the hardware, or just that little bit further down the startup journey, and those companies are supporting the startups coming through. But as you see there, also electric vehicles. There's a number of different electric vehicle businesses, ranging from electric scooter hire or bike hire businesses through to plug, share, Airbnb style businesses where they're trying to monetize your home charger, so you can get some revenue if you make available your charging service. So how we operate, we start with events. So we try and stimulate conversation around clean energy and electric transport with a number of panel discussions in the market. So in Brisbane, we've been running a series of panel discussions. We're now tonight and over the weekend having what's called a hackathon. So the hackathon is a little further down our supply chain there. But a hackathon is where we get a group of people together, they form teams. We have some presentations at the start of the event. It usually runs for a day and a half. So ours will be starting Friday evening and finishing tomorrow night. And then the teams form and they try and create a business idea in a day, basically. And at the end of that, there's a pitch, little Shark Tank style pitch competition, and a winner, and there's some prizes for that. But the whole idea is to come and have some fun, get together and create some ideas and hopefully form a business that will go on and do something meaningful in clean energy. To really encourage everyone to come along and join in some of the events. We have some great discussions. We're typically in Brisbane running them at the precinct in Fortitude Valley, so in the River City Lab space there. Beautiful space for an event. We host them well. There's usually red wine and beers flowing, so come and share in some of that. And the cheese, yeah. My co-founder Piers loves his cheese, so there's usually a good mix of breeds. But yeah, great events and good discussions. So yeah, that's a big part of what we do, just to stimulate the discussion around clean energy and what we can be doing here. And then that leads on to a pre-accelerator. So we invite people with just an idea who might not know how to develop that idea. We run a half-day workshop with them, so we work one-on-one, some fairly intensive coaching, just trying to tease out the idea. Is there a market for that? Have they got the right team? Have they got the skills they need, or the founders that they have there to develop that idea into a business? And if they do, fantastic, we'll assist them further. If not, we might try and buddy them up with some other entrepreneurs to form the teams and get the right mix of skills in there to make that a successful business. So that's all about the pre-accelerator. That flows into the hackathons. But the main event for us is our accelerator program. And I'll just put that. So in our accelerator program, we offer some venture capital funding. So the successful applicants there get $50,000 with an Artesian Capital, so our venture capital partner. They get office space. As I said, we've got offices in Brisbane and other locations, so you've got free working space there. We've got a fantastic network of mentors and broadly across the clean energy industry. People in the room here on our mentor list. So we give you good connections. So if you're struggling to solve an idea, or you just need a bit of skill set that you don't have in your team, we can bring the right people to you and make sure you can move on and develop that business further with those little bits of advice here and there that can make all the difference and just save you thousands of hours perhaps going down the wrong track when you can take the right channel earlier on. And lots of workshops. So at the early stage, we're finding the entrepreneurs that join our program will have great engineering skills or have an idea but might not have the full suite of business skills. So we'll be running workshop series on accounting and finance, business modelling, legals. We work with KPMG and Mark Lawyers, are our partners there, who come and help deliver these workshops. So we give you a broader skill set to give you all the background knowledge then to develop that business and be successful. That's our locations. So as I said, we're most out the East Coast now. We're currently working in our first regional play in Lismore with Southern Cross University, just down the road. We've been doing lots of events down in Tasmania with Tas Networks and Tas Hydro. Great opportunity there for EVs as well. Some good discussions there. And then we've got offices in Cambodia. We've just actually run Cambodia's first Energy Week. My co-founder was over there at the Australian Embassy with 150 energy executives there, which was great, really well attended. So we're trying to make these connections to make a thriving clean energy ecosystem in that Mekong Delta region, not just Cambodia but through Laos and southern Vietnam. And then India is actually a good one for this conference. We've had a group there in Delhi that's 4 EV startups. As an example, one group are looking at charging stations around the Delhi train network so that EV drivers could come and park their car in the morning and they would ensure that your car was charged, ready to go home again, using a solar array, a solar car park structure over the car parks there by the stations. So that was a great play, but there's a number of EV-focused companies we're working with in Delhi. Some of our supporters. So if Energy Lab is a non-profit, public limited company, but we can't do it alone, so our supporters are both corporate and government. Origin is our principal sponsor. They've been a great partner, very interested in the innovation that's coming through our program, in discussions to help equity raise or put some dollars into some of the startups coming through. Mark Lawyers and KPMG, as I said, are also great partners. And the state governments in each of the areas we've worked with have been terrific support, including Queensland here. So yeah, thanks very much to the Queensland government people in the room. And then universities. In each of the cities, we've generally got a very close relationship with the university. In Sydney, where we've launched, it was with the University of Technology of Sydney. They've given us a building and direct relationships with their engineering and commerce departments and the Sustainability Institute of Sustainable Futures, which is great. So those students that are coming through, post-grad, they're looking for a career choice. We can help guide them into clean energy and electric transport as an option. They might not be thinking there's a chance for them to make a career there. through what we do, we hopefully can steer them in the right direction and develop this industry further. So these are some of our companies. I'll just highlight the EV ones. Or say Ride Green down the bottom, we have a couple of great entrepreneurs there doing the electric scooter hire, so similar to what you see in the US with Lime. It's just gone crazy on their valuation over there. But the guys are launching down in Melbourne. They'll be doing a pilot there very shortly. We're working on getting the right scooter design and all the infrastructure, the software behind that to manage that. Yeah, great guys there. Who else we got in the EV? EVIDY, their logo doesn't say their name, but the blue one in the middle there. EVIDY is the company I mentioned earlier on. Corolla has a software play, but it's about monetising your home charger. So if you've got a charger you're out at work during the day, but someone else with an EV needs a charge, they can pull into your driveway, plug in, and you'll get paid through the EVIDY system. So it's great, sort of, if you like, the Airbnb for chargers. It allows you to monetise, get some revenue back for the investment you've made in your home charger, and also it's got parking value. So places like, say, Bondi Beach in Sydney or downtown here where parking's a premium, you can also get revenue for that. You're offering your car park space. So it's not just the kilowatt hours, it's the space and the time you're giving that up. We've also got another company, EV. So those guys had been doing a Tesla hire business, and they're operating mainly in Sydney and Melbourne and down to Canberra. They're just shifting their model now to an electric car shares business, and they're going to be launching over in the US. They've had struggles here getting insurance for that business, but Car Next Door is a similar model, but these guys are going for a pure electric play, and they're getting a lot of interest. So there's the sort of companies we've got coming through. There's another one, electric bike guys from Byron Bay called Sunshine Cycles. So they've built a completely off-grid pod. The first one was a shipping container with solar on the roof, but fully automated, so it didn't need anyone to man that. They have 10 electric bikes, beautiful retro-style bikes, really popular with the tourists in Byron Bay, getting great TripAdvisor reviews. And they've now built a new design, lightweight pod that they're looking to put into multiple tourist locations and use electric bikes as a great way to get around and visit local businesses and have self-guided tours through tourist destinations there. So yeah, good mix of EV businesses in it. We've got some slides here on EVIDY. Maybe just to wrap up, I'll just go through this particular business, which is the plug share one I was talking through. So the guys are very software focused. They've developed a beautiful app, so you can find, like your other charger point location apps, find where these households are. You can see what they're going to charge. So you as the owner of the location can set your rate for time and kilowatt hours. And then the EV driver can say, I need some charge down in South Brisbane. We will find that space and pull up and plug in. You can see if it's also got another car there or not already. So it's a great service to take away that range anxiety for EV owners. This goes into that in a little more detail here, so you can see where all the charges are, what their rates are, and exactly which ones are free or not, and make a booking online, and so all the payments are handled online. And that's EVIDY's partners. So the guys are underway now. They're looking at rolling this out with some of the major manufacturers, having conversations with a broad group. So it's very early stage for them, but looking likely that they're going to get some good partnerships and get that software across quite a few providers. That's Corolla's details if anyone wants to invest in Corolla. She was at our angel investment night last week. So as another aspect of what Energy Lab is doing to support this ecosystem is we've formed an angel investment group. We've had 2 pitches, but EVIDY was at an angel pitch night last night in Sydney. So 3 companies had a chance to present their business model to a room of investors. I heard that Corolla did very well. I'm not sure she's going to get any money just yet, but likely that she'll get some investment from that group and help her develop that business further. So we invite you to join in Energy Lab journey. We're a group that are looking to develop this industry, but mainly focus on getting small businesses really flourishing in this area, and hopefully they become big businesses of the future. Thanks, guys.
All right, big round of applause, my special guest, Russell Shepherd.
Thank you very much. Just before we get going, I just want to say thank you to the AEVA team who've been absolutely amazing the last few days, the last few weeks. It's been hard work for everyone, I think, to get here, but I think they've done an amazing job in terms of getting this set up, and all the contributors, you know, Graham, Rebecca, and Simona, whoever else has been involved, then, you know, please do your best to thank them on the way out, and we'll certainly be doing that ourselves as well. So it's been amazing. Thank you. So first of all, look, my name's Russell Shepherd. I'm from Evolution, and we're based out of Oakley, Melbourne, in Victoria. We service all of Australia and New Zealand for installing chargers and installing and all of that kind of stuff. We also have an online store where we sell cables and adapters and EVSEs and all that kind of stuff as well. I guess our story is that we're essentially you guys. We're passionate about EVs just as much as you guys, to be honest with you. So we all the core team drive electric vehicles. We know what it's like to charge up every day and wait for the top up and hunt for a charging station and all that kind of stuff. So we live and breathe it. And Evolution came to be around 2015 time, I think it was, when I went down the Bryce route and decided to convert my Audi A3 to full electric. I told a little white lie and I said to my wife that it's okay, it won't cost us a fortune, I'm going to sell some chargers on the side and it'll fully fund the conversion of the car. That never quite happened, unfortunately. But what we did discover was that there's a definite market for, you know, safe, compliant, cost-effective EVSEs within Australia and New Zealand for that matter. And within a few weeks of setting the company up, we realised we didn't need to do more to service people. We brought in some of our products from overseas. We've developed some of our own as well, which we're incredibly proud of. We do a lot of the fabrication of ourselves in-house as well, which a lot of people don't know about. Again, we're proud of that too. And like I say, we live and breathe this stuff, absolutely. In regards to the nationwide installation service, we were the first to bring that to Australia, and we dreamt that over a weekend because we have hooks into a whole lot of installers and electric Sparkies across the country. I've drank with most of them, I'm afraid to say. So when you come to us and you ask us to install in, you know, Geraldton or wherever it is, we have someone there who can do that for you. So enough of the spiel, let's get into the rest of it. And just one thing, obviously those are our partners, we can't do it without, we're a relatively small team, we can't do it without support of others, just as, you know, as Energy Lab have talked about that as well, it requires other people from other part of the industry to bring this together. So for example, we get a lot of support from My Energy. You've probably heard about the Zappy, which we're again proud to bring in, and Charge Amps, NHP and Delta, those kind of guys as well. Really good people to work with. And obviously, not to mention AEVA, ATA, and PMI, which you guys probably don't care about too much, but it's project management stuff, right? That's how we get stuff done. All right, let's get on to it. So, who needs to consider charger management? The brief list there: facilities managers, sustainability managers, fleet operators, office workers, apartment dwellers. Actually, it's everyone, really, because The thing is that we get it a lot on a day-to-day basis. Hey, how much to install a charger in a particular location? And we'll give them a price, and they go, that's great, thanks. When can you start? And we have to say to them, well, actually, you know, do you want to actually charge for the electricity? Do you want to know who's going to be using that? Do you want to be able to, you know, offer incentives for them to come back to that location and all that kind of stuff? And the reality is, with relatively dumb chargers, you can't actually do that. So that's why a lot of the time that these chargers, we have to delineate right up front in terms of what is it they want. Is it just done, you know, something that you have at home but with a few smarts in it or whatever, or do you want something which is, you know, all singing, all bells and all singing, all dancing? But let's talk about why we want to install a publicly available charging station in the first place. And this is for venues, obviously. And again, this is for everyone here, right? This is the argument. We all want more charging infrastructure. We do as a company, obviously, because we might make $1 or $2 out of it, but also we want more charging stations out there because it means there's one less excuse for this stuff to go mainstream. For companies, obviously, charging stations are competitive differentiators. That's a long-worded way of saying it's a point of difference, okay? So we get a lot of people wanting to put charging stations in cafes and wineries and all this kind of stuff because they want something different to other places where they're going to go there for a charge. We all know, if those who drive EV, I'm going to say a good 50% should be driving electric vehicles if they're at this conference. If not, you should go and buy one, absolutely. But cafes and venues want to make a difference, and it actually goes to a corporate level as well in terms of shopping centres. It's a bit of a, they've got one, well, we want one as well kind of thing. We've seen that a lot in the industry at the moment, whereby, for example, a shopping centre, which we'll talk about in a minute, within the Westfield chain, had a couple of our chargers installed, and then literally, 3 weeks later, we had a call from the same chain, a few doors down, saying, hey, we want them as well, kind of thing. So that's fantastic, right? That's really good stuff. Something obvious we should all know about increasing customer dwell time. If you're waiting for, $1 worth of electricity, you might go and buy a coffee and a muffin and a croissant or whatever. And obviously that helps the shopping centre or venue get a bit of income. Makes a statement, right? You're EV focused, you're eco focused, you want to save the planet, it says something different about your company and the organisation or the venue that you want to embrace this new technology. And for employees, if you're going to put it into a business, then yeah, it attracts and retains high quality staff because people who are educated know about this stuff and they know it's the next big thing. We all know it's going to happen, right? And obviously, cross promotions, or maybe not obviously, but cross promotions and rewards and goodwill. So you give something to someone for free or at a discount, you help someone, then they'll come back again. And I know personally, and Zora and one of my team here at the front with a nice shirt on, we both will frequent shopping centres who've got the effort of putting charging stations in, and we will go there time and again, yes, buy a coffee, but also get a top up. And there's a particular cinema I go to in Melbourne whereby they've got a charging station nearby, and we go there regardless of how comfy the seats are, because I know when I come back out, my Nissan Leaf will be fully charged. So, forgive me if the vast majority of you guys, you guys and girls know this, but obviously there's 2 types of charging station for public, level 2 and level 3. Level 2 is remarkable in terms of it goes up to 22 kilowatts, which is just awesome, and they're relatively cost effective, starting from a couple of grand. The DC fast chargers, you're talking more 20 grand and up, plus obviously infrastructure costs and all that kind of stuff. The gotcha out of all of this is that, would you believe that some cars, not all cars can DC fast charge? So when you're looking at specifying this kind of stuff, so for example a Zoe, it can only do AC charging at the moment. So all those Queensland DC fast chargers that have been put in, the Charge Fox thing, they can't take advantage of that. So that's something that we have to advise and consider when we're putting this stuff in. Obviously there's a massive cost difference here. So one of them, we often get calls whereby they say we want the fastest charger possible, please quote me, and then when we go back to them with tens of thousands of dollars, they obviously reevaluate how much they want to spend. Just while we're on that, that top one is a new charger we're bringing in, Charge Amps Aura from Sweden, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It really is. Just a quick one on what good looks like. I'm sure you guys have all got comments in terms of charging stations and locations. This is actually one I mentioned earlier, Westfield Woden in Canberra. The best thing about it is it's free, 7 kilowatts. And what's interesting is it's type 1, but also the facilities managers went the effort of buying converter cables. So if Tesla rocks up, then they can actually go and charge and they can borrow a cable for a small deposit or whatever it is. So it's pretty good. Well lit and well frequented. If you check it out on PlugShare, the amount of feedback is like yay big. It's just every day someone's checking in. So that's an example of a successful deployment in terms it's in the right location, it's well lit, easy to use, publish support line, all of that kind of stuff. So it really works well for them. So let's talk about managed versus unmanaged. So, would you believe that Tesla high-powered wall chargers aren't actually all that smart? They're just a simple EVSE. And the bonus of something like the Tesla HPWC or something similar to it, such as actually the charger we talked about earlier, is that you just need to add power. It's really simple to install. It's great. Relatively cost-effective. No IT connectivity. If the internet goes down or fails or what have you, you can still use the charger. It's all very good. And there's no support line or overheads and all that kind of stuff that required around it. With the managed stuff, now forgive me, I put ChargePoint up there because it's one of the biggest charging networks in the country. It could be any of them, but essentially with regards to a managed service, it's obviously a bit more expensive because there's a whole lot of smarts and back-end stuff that's required. There's increased commissioning costs because you've got to run internet to it and all that kind of stuff, and then there's additional run costs and subscriptions associated with it. So there's obviously more cost associated with putting in a managed service, but there's a whole lot more benefits that you get from it as well. And this is just a basic network that we've pulled together. So obviously benefits are you can monitor energy usage and fleet consumption. So presume some of this is interesting to some of you guys in terms of this data, and it is for a lot of our customers. Track your usage by vehicle or user. Optional load management and prioritization. That means you can actually control the load either by the charger or groups of chargers, and that becomes particularly important when people will talk to you guys about, hey, what about the grid? When the grid fails, when everyone drives electric cars, it's going to be an absolute disaster. It's going to be, like Mad Max or what have you. So we have a fix for that. It's called load management. There's about a dozen slides I can go through. I don't suggest we do that today, but there is a solution for that, and we've got software where it can follow the demand curve of the grid and of the building and all this kind of stuff. So it's really clever stuff. It is possible, but you can only do that with managed hardware. Cross promotion is a really big thing for a lot of people organisations. So if you know who's selecting your charger, and you know they come back every Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock, then maybe you can offer them a personal service of some description. I'm not a social sciences expert, but I know for some marketing people that's absolute gold in terms of knowing how people move and what kind of stuff. That's why there's, this information and is just invaluable for these kind of companies, just like it is for, I guess, Facebook, those kind of guys, right? In this regard, people know, these companies know where you are or know your usage patterns, which is fabulous for them. And loyalty program, it could be, linked up with flybys and all of that kind of stuff as well, which is, again, it's a good way of cross-referencing data. And finally, obviously, enables monetization. We can do some stuff where you can actually pay pass and all that kind of stuff, but the industry is saying that they want to be able to know who these people are who are paying for their electricity. So while we all want pay pass, companies behind the scenes maybe don't want that so much. So that's essentially it. So obviously, the graphic shows all the different moving parts of it, the web portal is key for that. That can be from a organisational point of view down to a fleet, fleet manager's perspective as well. So just a bit about the run costs. I'm sure you guys know this already. It's a really difficult crowd because I know there's so many experts in the room regards this. But to fill a Tesla, it's around $30. Leaf around $6.60 thereabouts, based on 30 cents a kilowatt hour. I know you can get it cheaper, but it depends on. Would you believe that a lot of corporates don't actually get that good a deal on their electricity? So this is the kind of worst case scenario that these organisations will be up for. The expectation at the moment in the market, just our view, is that that AC should be free. And the reality is, if you have a heap of people turning up and charging their Tesla and taking $30 out of your bank account for every what is it, hour or two or whatever it's going to be, then there's got to be some sort of, agreement there that they get something in return, be it your data or something else, I don't know. But interestingly, overseas, still AC is relatively free, and you'll go, especially in the UK, you'll see, for example, even Tritium, the DC fast chargers installed, where you're paying by the hour or per the kilowatt hour or whatever it is, and then there'll be an AC charger next to it, which is free of charge. Maybe dialed down to 7 kilowatts, but they're still there. So that could be the future. However, we've got the additional, development here whereby you're getting more and more 22 kilowatt chargers. So 7 kilowatts is okay. It kind of dials down. It limits the amount of charging you can get out of the company or the venue. But you go 22 kilowatts, then you end up, being able to suck quite a lot of dollars out of their bank account in regards to the electricity. I think that's it. We can move on to the next one. Oh yeah, that's a good point actually. Every Tesla destination charge at the moment is free, and there's no easy mechanism of changing that. So, as you may or may not be aware, Tesla give these things away for free to venues. I think they're still doing that. They even contribute the installation cost as well. No, they stopped doing that. They were So they were doing that. They've obviously stopped doing that now. But you put these things in, and then it's carte blanche for them to.
It's like free Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it gets them in there.
Exactly.
You got to pay the price.
Yeah, that's right. Wi-Fi doesn't cost $30 though, does it?
No, people download the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I know. So, another thing from our point of view is that we get a lot of customers asking for charges, but they want us to put a payment gateway in of some description. And obviously that costs as well, and we typically recommend they don't charge for it, at least in the first instance, because the last thing you want is for the charging location to be a failure. You want it to be used. What we find is that it's usually best to put it in free of charge, and then if it gets abused or for whatever reason, then we can put that in for them later on down the track. And the warning is that if given there's that many free stuff around, then why would you go and pay for AC at the moment? That's the problem as well. Okay, so when and where to monetize? Well, obviously apartments, because you can't really expect to live in an apartment free, the body corporate to pay for your fuel. However, the customer last week did suggest that we extend the GPO so it could reach his car without talking to the body corporate first. That was a fun conversation. So there's a need to do that, obviously. There's a need to pay for electricity if you're in an apartment, and there's a way of doing that, obviously, through various systems. Abused locations. Apologies to anyone who's relationship or with an EV limo service, but obviously they're running their business on electricity gleaned from other locations. Maybe some from Tesla, superchargers free of charge, but sometimes it's from shopping centres, etc. And there's good examples of Tesla owners. I'm sorry if I'm potentially go at Tesla owners, but there's evidence of Tesla owners going to shopping centres, potentially, apartment dwellers who don't have a charging facility in their car, and they leave the car all day for a full top-up and then return in the evening or what have you. So there's a number of examples of that, so that's pretty interesting. Any DC fast charging location? I know there's a lot of DC fast charge at the moment where it's still free, but the reality is that can't go on forever because there's a whole ton of investment around that stuff. So the charges alone, 30 grand plus, in infrastructure, installation costs and all that kind of stuff. So that's going to change as well, obviously. That's going to have to, someone's going to have to be compensated for that in some way. There may be coupons and all that kind of thing coming in terms of getting the benefit of the DC fast charging, but the reality is, I think even overseas, there is the expectation that if you're going to a location, you're on your way to, for a weekend or you're on a road trip, you're paying for the convenience of having the DC fast charger in that particular location so you can get on your way again. And I think that's fair enough. Any location over 22 kilowatts, just because obviously the amount of power you can suck down is as simple as that. Any location where run costs are justified, I guess. So if you've got a thoroughfare of people coming in and you're not able to offer them something or get something in return for the power they're using, then obviously that's required too. And quite obviously, where complementary charging isn't going to benefit the business at all. So, for example, servos, that kind of thing. So that's pretty much it, guys. I didn't want to go any further. Any questions on that at all?
Just a quick one.
Yeah.
Just as a slight alternative, but it's not necessarily a direct billing question, but I've been looking at, say for a C-type setup, you can buy these, the ferrite type AEVs. Can you hear me? Okay, sorry, I'll repeat that again. Just for when you've got charge stations, you just have to hit on there about not knowing when to charge and when not to charge people for the service. There's been a few products around for a long time. In fact, they use them with the solar industry to track their energy usage in their houses. Just using the ferrite cores type setup. There's a 3-phase version for the 22 kilowatts. They have a little remote power meter, and they can then, that customer can then assess themselves how much power they're going to be using in that location, and then, oh, hell, I'm using too much power, I better get it metered or get it.
Yeah. So that, yeah, no, it's good.
Could be a tool that you could use or certain customers use. At least there's $150.
Yeah, so actually that Charge Amps Aura we pictured there, so that actually has free software on board and with an app. So without subscribing to Charge Point, Charge Master, whatever, Charge Star, or whatever it is that people are using on, you can actually jump on that charger, produce a report, and you can see the usage pattern and how much money is going out the door basically before you get the bill. So that's a really good product, and that's what we're recommending at the moment. So that's pretty good. Yeah.
How realistic do you think the induction charging is? Just to understand that question. How realistic do you think the induction charging
In road?
Did you see it next door?
No, I didn't actually. No. You mean in terms of along the highway and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
No. God. Yeah, well, I know, but it's great, but you know, we can barely build roads in Victoria, so let alone put stuff in the ground. Maybe in 10, 20 years, that kind of thing. Maybe you can see it coming along with they go, okay, let's do that. Yeah, no, exactly. So there's a product in the market whereby you can actually convert, your Leaf and BMWs and all that kind of things, so for aftermarket. So you drive it in your garage and it'll start charging and all that kind of stuff. But there's obviously modifications to the cars, and it's maybe it's out of warranty and that'd be fine. But it's a personal opinion, but I don't see it much of an issue just plugging the bloody thing in. To be quite frank, it's so easy. It's much better. It's much better than going to the servo every week, isn't it? Surely. So that's it, and it's more satisfying with the click than it is to drive over it.
Russ, you mentioned about people starting off free then maybe charge later.
Yeah.
Do those people have to buy a certain type of charger so that's capable?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, so we always recommend something that's OCPP compliant, or at least has a REST API. So I'm talking.
Then that would be added after?
Yeah. So basically, what we try and do is we deploy chargers which are already connected. They're already talking to the cloud and sending data and all that kind of stuff, and then we can advise and we say, okay, look, you're at the point now where you're being abused. Then it's now time to do it. So yeah, exactly. So if you buy something that's fairly dumb, has no connectivity and has no monitoring as well, then you don't know until you get your first bill, right? And then you'd be hunting around. Could it be the charger? Could it be the air conditioning, or what have you? So we always recommend putting something that has a level of smart in it, so you can do that level of monitoring. Yeah.
Cool.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Big round of applause.